This is the Golden Rod Feeder Final 2022 and we're here at the fantastic Larford Lakes Complex. We're here where there are 64 of the country's top feeder anglers that have been battling it out for a place in this final. There are £30,000 up for grabs at the end of this weekend and the winner will walk away with a cool £10,000. This is a two-day competition. The anglers are going to be doing battle on both of the lakes here. That is Match Lake and Spessy Lake. It's going to be a very interesting event. Charlie Simpson, the original Golden Rod winner from the very first final. What you draw, mate?
Spessy 10.
Any good? Fancy it?
I think Adam working with here, I see you've caught a few big carps, so let's see how we go.
Okay, good luck, mate.
Cheers.
I've got Spessy 3, happy with that. I qualified off Spessy 7 2 weeks ago, so that gave me a bit of confidence and so I know what I'll be doing, so yeah, I'm happy with that.
Fantastic, good luck.
Cheers, thanks Jamie.
Brett Clark, what you drawn, mate?
I'm on Spessy 15,
okay,
next to the end peg.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a hard but fair section, so reasonably happy.
Mr. Kinder, 15 on match?
Match Lake, sore neck.
Fancy it?
No,
sore neck?
Sore neck all day. 4 end pegs in your section to contend week. Not a problem. Judging by yesterday's matches, like MPEG 16, 17, you've got another MPEG at 18, then you've got an MPEG this side at Ireland, so I think I'm up against it.
What you got, Joe? Any good?
Match 11.
Match 11? Any good?
Don't know enough about the spot to say really, but if it's him in the middle zone, it should be fair, I would have thought.
Nice one, good luck.
Cheers, mate.
Dave Berry, what you drawn?
25 on Spessy.
You fancy that?
If it's the middle section, yes.
Yeah?
Will be worth a few fish.
We've got to ask what you reckon about the bream on there. Do you think they're going to feed today? Everyone's debating it with these clear blue skies.
Fingers crossed.
Well, as you can see from the wayboards, the anglers are actually going to be fishing against each other this weekend. So rather than all anglers down one bank competing against each other in the same section, we've actually split the zones so that you are actually competing against the anglers opposite you. So that basically means that each section is fishing the same water. Well, we're here with fishery owner and event organiser Phil Briscoe. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, everybody.
The sun's shining out there. The draw's been done. Everyone's at the pegs. We've had a long walk round. We've said hello to everybody. You know the venue better than anybody. Come on, you've seen the draw. Who's your money on? Looking at the sheets, you've got the sheets here behind you.
Well, let's remember it's a two-day event.
Okay, yeah.
So a good draw today can count for nothing if it doesn't go right from tomorrow. But in terms of the way the draw's gone, I mean, unbelievable. Shemek Solsky, who's a previous Golden Rod finalist and winner, has drawn peg 1. That you'll know it as, or shall we say peg 40, you'll know it as peg 40, which is the end peg today, opposite the cafe on the Burbank. An absolute flyer. He's drawn that. He knows exactly what he's got to do on that, and I would put my money on Shemek to win the lake comfortably, with a weight probably approaching 250, maybe even £300 today. Yesterday on the practice match, it was won off peg 29, which was the end peg on the day yesterday on the practice, and that was won with nearly £390, and he went over substantially on his nets as well. He probably would have weighed £420, £430 for a feeder batch in the winter, March, don't forget. That's phenomenal fishing. And he's drawn the peg that will chuck that sort of weight up today. Then you've got Snedker on peg 1 on the grass bank just in front of the cafe. He's drawn very, very well. That peg's good for certainly £200 today. But definitely Shemek on the match lake. In terms of the Spessy Lake, that's the harder lake for the festival. That's an hard one to call. I wouldn't like to say who can win it off there. It'll be one, I think, with distance casting, a few big carp, but anybody that refuses or turns a blind eye to the bream fishing on there, I think will be making a big mistake, because there's a lot of bream to be caught.
Nice one, thanks Phil.
Okay, so follow us round and we'll have some good weights today, nothing more certain.
It had been a really cold evening. We'd got bright blue skies and that was a really cold easterly wind blowing. However, there were one or two early fish caught. Jamie Snedker was first off the mark on peg 1 on the match lake, and opposite him was Presmek. He also caught an early fish as well, and already these lads were fishing really close in down the margins. Currently behind Dean Barlow. He was just tucking into his sausage roll and that's got him a fish. It's very, very slow here. He's got the wind blowing straight in. I think he's got 2 or 3 skimmers up to now. It's a very slow start. Another skimmer.
Disturb my sausage roll.
Spoilt his break. It's nice to be putting something in the net while those carp and F1s switch on, I guess. Just with Mick Owen, playing the fish, keeping his rod low. Could be an F1 this one, he's not playing this one like it's a little skimmer.
Three skimmers in this, mate.
Brilliant. You've got 3 skimmers to go with that one. Well, we are 2 hours in now and it's been an incredibly slow start on both lakes. This is Match Lake behind me and it was a really slow start on there with just a couple of F1s really leading in that first 40 minutes or so. The odd small skimmer has been caught purely by accident by people trying to catch F1s and carp, but it's a really slow start. However, just coming up to the end of the second hour, Steve Anrahan on this end peg has just had a little run of fish. He's just had 2 in 5 minutes and it looks like that end peg might start going. Andy Kinder on his left has just got a few small skimmers. But obviously, as you'd expect with an MPEG like what Steve's got there, you would expect it to get stronger. He's got the whole of this bowl here free and the wind is actually blowing into it as well. So on paper, you would always fancy a peg like that. But the rest of the complex is still fishing really, really slow. Jamie Snedker right down on peg 1 in the corner. He's only got 1 fish. So it's a really slow start. However, this is a pattern that happened yesterday. Yesterday it was a slow start. Admittedly, the fishing was better than this at this stage, but it was a slow start yesterday, and it wasn't until the last couple of hours when people started to catch fish, and certainly going into that last hour, that's when people started to catch carp and F1s. That was also a pattern over on Spessy Lake. However, there were some big fish caught really, really late on Spessy Lake. So we're only 2 hours in, we're not far off the halfway stage, and it's literally anybody's at this stage. Even though it had been a slow start, we fully expected that both lakes would start to improve. So we headed over to Spessy Lake to see how it was fishing over there. We are at the halfway stage and it has picked up a little bit. Really, over on Match Lake, the MPEGs are starting to produce, which is pretty much what we expected. But over here on Spessy Lake, it's fishing very, very hard still. Even at now, going into the last 2 hours, there are only 3 carp caught on the whole of Shallybank. and I think that's giving you an idea of how difficult it's actually fishing. Everybody's caught, but there are some people that's only caught 1 or 2 fish. Usually and mainly they are accidents, as they call them. In other words, they are skimmers or bream that they've caught whilst they've been trying to catch carp. But there certainly aren't any carp feeding at the moment, so it's making the nets that some people have caught with skimmers and bream, and in particular the bigger bream, very, very important. Obviously they can easily get cancelled out with big carp. However, if they was to catch a carp as well, to go with a net of skimmers as well, then that could really make them unbeatable, really. Andy here has now got, I think he's got 13 big skimmers now, all between probably £1.75 pounds and maybe £3, so he's got a good weight. Phil Ringer next to him has got some skimmers as well. He's on his short line now. It looks like he's just underarming the feeder on a short line, but all the way down here that most anglers are actually struggling. On the end peg, Ian on the end peg's got a carp. 2 pegs in from him is Lee Jepson, he's got 1 carp. And then next one, 2 pegs in from him is Simon Skelton, who's got a carp as well. And they're all borderline double figures, and they've got 1 or 2 skimmers to go with them. Other than that, Andy Power down there is admitting to £15 of skimmers, so you're getting an idea of how it's fishing. So going into these last 2 hours, as you'd expect, I think just about every single angler will at some stage in this next 2 hours go for a carp on that short line. Yesterday, over there, is where there were some big carp caught really, really late on. So we're expecting something like that to happen today, but obviously these lads have just got to fish the section, fish against the lads that are in that section. It's all about section points. You know, it's all right hearing that they've caught carp right the way down there, but these lads here are fishing against each other. They're not competing against them for section points. So it's very much a case of knowing what's happening around them and hopefully making the right decisions around that. But I think this is the stage now where it's really going to start to get interesting. We then headed down to what's referred to as the bowl on Match Lake. That is where there were 2 pegs. They were almost slightly isolated. There were 2 end pegs on their own, and that's where Les Marshall was. He was slowly starting to put a few fish in the net. He was fishing close in, however he was fishing behind the near bank features. Now those features would normally be right next to where the angler is sat, but because there was about 3 feet of extra water in Match Lake, that meant that the shallow water that Les needed to target was actually behind the trees, and that inevitably led to 1 or 2 lost fish and 1 or 2 pretty scary moments when he did hook big fish. On the other bank from Les, Andy Kinder had slowly started to put a few fish together. However, whilst he wasn't catching loads of fish, when he did catch one, they tended to be slightly bigger fish. Further down the lake on peg 7, Steve Ringer was really struggling. That was a hard area there. It was just going to be a case of fishing it right out until 4 o'clock, when hopefully some fish would move down the margins going into that latter stage of the match. Then all of a sudden, anglers that hadn't been catching suddenly started to put a few fish in the net. Further down the Match Lake, there was Janice, and Janice was suddenly into a fish, and then almost immediately from nowhere, the angler on his right, Eric, soon hooked a fish as well. Then whilst those 2 anglers were playing fish, guess what happened? 2 pegs to the left, which is where Stu Fotheringham was. He was also into fish as well. Down on peg 1, Jamie Snedker managed to continue, just keep putting fish in the net. He did have a quiet spell right in the middle of the match, however the latter stages came good again for him. one angler that had been quietly putting fish in the net that we think was a little bit of a dark horse on the day, and that was Tom Scully. He was over opposite the island on the MPEG, and he'd been quietly putting fish in the net. He'd kind of gone under the radar a little bit, but because he ticked over throughout the day, just kept putting fish in the net, we honestly felt that he would be very difficult to beat in that section. Peg 1 on Match Lake, £31.2. That was his third net. He hasn't had as much as that, I don't think, in the other nets, but that's his third net that's gone in. We're on Match Lake, so Phil Briscoe's just going to add up those 3 weigh-ins now. So Jamie's the first angler to weigh in. This is Peg 1, and we're going to weigh in. What was that, Phil? 90?
£90, 6 ounces.
Well done, Jamie. Nice one, mate. So this is Peg 14. This is Ian. Ian caught 1 or 2 F1s early on. We saw him catch those. And I think he might have just ticked over. Has it just ticked over, Ian, or?
Yeah, slowly, just coming in little bits and drabs.
Brilliant. So we're expecting this to be a decent weight. Thanks everyone who's commenting. We don't know who's won it yet, John. Still weighing in, mate. Top weight is £90, Jamie Snedker, but there is another set of scales going around on Spessy Lake, so you know we don't know what they've got. It's still very windy. I do apologise. Doing my best to hold it off the microphone for you. So they're the weights so far. We started at Peg 1, Jamie Snedker. Those lines are basically the edge of the sections. So for example, Lee Hall was the last one in that first section, Steve Ring is the first one. Okay, I'll keep showing you that at intervals when we can.
52.50.
52, well done, Ian.
£55.13.
Well done, Andy. Fantastic weight. So he's been struggling. So we're at the end peg now. This is Steve. Did you carry on catching, Steve?
Yes, mate.
Kept coming and going. Like I said, we've only got 1 set of scales for this lake today. We're doing this on purpose so that you can watch it continuous and see everybody weigh in.
And another 31.11.
83.15.
Well done. Oh, that's got done anyway. £10.15.
£10.15 lost weight.
Good lad. Yeah. Good lad.
There you go, look.
106. Well done, Les. Bit of fish.
No. Everybody beats Italy. £40.6. Thanks. Well done. 9, 10, 11, 12. 124.8.
Well done, Tom. Brilliant.
Well done.
That's the top weight on the lake. Looks like it did, doesn't it? Thanks for all the great messages, everybody. I have seen them. That's great. Thank you, everybody. No, I can't respond to them all. 129.11.
129.11.
Fantastic. Right then, there we go. Quick rundown for you. So we'll do it in the order that we've been walking around today. Match Lake day 1, Peg 1. Jamie Snedker, he ended up second on that £90. He was winning the lake until we got to the top end. Stu Fotheringham next to him has ended up 4th in the section. Now that section there has fished against the anglers opposite. Okay, so Presmake's ended up winning that section with £129. 1 point, obviously. It's been the top weight on the lake. Rob Wotton said he would have been happy with 3rd. 3 points there, as you can see, because he was up against Jamie on the one end peg and Presmake on the other end peg. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to show you these sheets, because this is obviously a video. I'll do it that way around for you. So this is Match Lake day 1, Peg 1. Okay, Jamie's been on Peg 1. I'll do it in order. it's a video, so you can pause it, okay? You can scrutinise it as much as you want, because I know some of you will. Okay, so that's going up to the top end of the grass, and now we're over onto the Match Lake Burr now. I'll do it that way, so this is coming from the island. Okay, running right the way down the Burr, running down to that end peg. Okay, and then we'll skip over onto the Spessy Lake, Spessy Burr peg 1, which has been John Waite. He's at £114 on peg 1. I'll just go down the Spessy Burr for you. You can obviously pause this wherever you wish. Nick Speeder, we mentioned earlier, he's at £59, but he's had that £26 carp after time, which has obviously helped his weight. Okay, and then we'll skip over onto, we'll go over to the far bank, which is the way that we were kind of covering it, which has been Rob Bergin on that end peg. Andy Crocker, we know, had those big skimmers. He's ended up second. So Phil Ringer next to him, Strudel, he's had £14, and then we'll pan right the way down there, going towards that end peg. So we heard there were 1 or 2 carp caught down there, but it's, you know, it's not been mega by any means. So it has been a tough day for many people. It had been a very close match, and we just knew that tomorrow would be another battle. Well, it's day 2. It's just coming up to 8 o'clock in the morning. Competitors have already started to arrive. We're hoping for a full house. However, there were some anglers who weren't on such great scores after yesterday, so we're hoping everyone is going to turn up. It's going to be a rolling draw again, but as you can imagine, the excitement is just starting to build. There was loads of anticipation going into this match. Obviously there were some anglers that did really well yesterday, and they were hoping to do well again, but they just wanted that draw bag to give them half a chance. Now yesterday was a random draw, so that basically means that the anglers that fished on Match Lake yesterday will fish on Spessy Lake today, and vice versa. So because of that, we're going to have 2 separate draws today. There's going to be Phil Briscoe doing 1 draw for one lake, and Julian will do the draw for the other lake. That'll just speed up the draw, and it means that everyone can get up to their peg much quicker and easier. Match 16, Martin. Match 16, fancy it?
Hopefully.
Yeah?
Give it a go, mate.
Good luck, mate. Any good, mate?
22 Spessy.
I'm going to say smiling, but you're always smiling.
Yeah.
22 Spessy. Fancy it?
Yeah, middle of the section, that would be good.
Good.
I know the places, that's enough. Try to fight.
Lovely. Good luck, mate.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you later.
See you later.
Well, it's 8:30. The draw has been done. There are a few people happy with the draw, but there are a few people that are not quite so happy. Mr. Speed, won his section yesterday. Any good today, mate?
I'm half happy. I've drawn 31 on the Match Lake, which is next to the end peg. So, looking at the weights from that peg over the past couple of days, I'm looking at a realistic 3rd in the section.
Yep.
I'd like to think I've got a chance of winning the section. You just never know with fishing here, so I'm just going to go to the peg and see what happens. But yeah, I liked an end peg, but so would everybody else as well.
Of course, yeah. Well, the draw has been done, and I think it's fair to say that even from the whole 64 anglers competing, we don't think any of the anglers that are on either 1 point or 2 point have actually drawn a flyer, they've not drawn an MPEG or anything like that, so it's looking like today is actually going to be wide open. So Phil, what do you reckon? Now the draw's done, who's your money on?
Well, listen, this is wide open, Jamie. I mean, all the lads are on 1 point. You know, they're facing another day, probably a tough one, because we've still got this strong easterly wind, which is always the worst wind you can get. We've had another frost again this morning. We've now got blue skies, bright sunshine. It's not going to be easy. And, you know, looking at everybody that's on good points, they can all collapse today. So, you know, in terms of a competition, for me, it's absolutely wide open now.
Well, this is peg 1 and 2 down on Match Lake, first 30 minutes, and it's a very slow start again. Neil McKinnon on peg 1's got 1 fish. This is Phil Canning's here on peg 3. He's got 1 skimmer, and all the way through it's very, very quiet. The only angler who's caught any number of fish is right down on the end peg. It's Martin Harrell, and he's got 4 small F1s, so it looks like it's another slow start, just like yesterday. Another very slow start. However, peg 1 is into a fish. We've been fishing 35 minutes. A couple of these sections yesterday were really tight, literally just a pound separating points. So every fish is going to be important. That's a good start. Unhooks itself as well, even better. That's speed fishing. We're now over on Spessy Lake. This is Dean Barlow. He had 1 F1 early on, small F1, and a couple of skimmers. He's just gone on his longer line now. It looks like this could be another skimmer or a bream maybe. It's very slow over here. Everyone's commenting how cold the fish are when they are catching them. There aren't many fish caught anyway, but it's obvious that that real drop in temperature has knocked off the sport again, just like it did yesterday. But it is even colder today. Ticking over nicely at the minute. Most people along this bank now, on this first hour, have got at least 1 skimmer. I think George has just got 1 going up to this one as well. He's got 1 skimmer, and this is obviously going to be his second. So Mick Bull on his left's got 6 or 7 skimmers and a small stocky. Dean Barlow's got some skimmers, 4 or 5 skimmers now, and an F1 which he had first cast. This looks like it's going to be a skimmer. At least they're putting some fish in the net. It's still fishing very hard. However, the competition itself is still wide open. Over my shoulder there, you can see Presmek. Presmek's doing about the best really at the moment of the leaders from yesterday. He was on a section win. He's got 7 skimmers now and 1 F1, which might not sound a lot, but in his section he's doing really well at the moment. We are just coming up to halfway, and we're pretty sure that, you know, he's not the only angler in this section who's going to be targeting carp late on down that margin, and he's very good at catching them. So out of all the leaders yesterday, at the moment the word on the street is that he's possibly doing the best out of the front runners, but there's another half of the match to go yet, and we know obviously on venues like this that anything can happen. All the way down there behind me, going back down the Shally Bank, it's fishing very difficult. There's just odd skimmers caught. 1 or 2 anglers have put a few together, Mick Bull's admitted to £10. He's got a few. Dean Barlow's got a few. But those anglers weren't on top scores from yesterday. So even at this stage, the competition is still wide open. We're up at the top end of Match Lake now. That's Martin Arrow on the end peg. He's just been ticking over with the odd fish. We're now behind Jeff. This is peg 15. He's into a fish. As you can expect, the lads are fishing short now. But to be fair, most of them have been doing that all day anyway. We're over on the two kind of isolated pegs over on Match Lake, and it's fishing very slow here as well. Just had a quick word with Charlie Simpson. He's the one in the background with the red sleeves. He's really struggling. He's only got 3 or 4 fish. It's certainly not producing a weight like it was doing yesterday when Les Marshall was there. Even the next angler along, which is Steve, that's where Tom Scully was yesterday. Charlie says he's hardly seen him catch fish, so even that's fishing really hard there as well. This cold wind has obviously just hit the fishery again, but there's just under 2 hours left. But I'm sure we're going to see some changes. We're at the top end now, Spessy, Shalley, Bank, and I've just walked all the way along and it's fishing really hard. Probably the best weight there could possibly Stu Fotheringham. He's got 9 good fish, big skimmers or stroke bream. But Stu, I think Stu was about 4th in his section yesterday, so he couldn't class him as one of the front runners. So he's probably doing the best there. Andy Kinder has got 7 skimmers, but he's saying he hasn't got £10 with those, so they're not all big fish. You've then got Mick Bull down there who's saying that he's got £10. But then you've got Presmick, who we kind of think at the moment is probably doing the best out of the front runners. We're just working his way over to Match Lake now, because the top end of Match Lake, where the weights, where Les Marshall was yesterday, who had over £100, and Tom Scully, near the island, where the that section is where there are 4 end pegs. We're just heading over there to see how they're getting on. People have said that they're not really catching. However, we are over halfway now. We're going into the final 2 hours, and if there are going to be any changes in the way that it's fishing, then this is when it's going to be. Last 30 minutes. We're at the top end of Match Lake now. This is Charlie Simpson. He's really struggled most of the day today. That's a good fish. Probably caught down the margin. We could be making a little bit of a comeback. It was so clear to see that whilst on both lakes it was a slow start, that going into the final 30 minutes or so it really started to pick up, and even anglers that hadn't caught all day suddenly had a little run of fish. The one angler that we'd kept his eye on, but he was just ticking over nicely, was Nick Speed. He was over on the far bank of Match Lake, and he'd been quietly putting a few fish in the net. The word on the street was that he may be winning his section. However, a very poor final 30 minutes. We honestly felt that Andrew Mundell on the end peg had actually beat him, but it was soon time for the live weigh-in, and that would obviously give us some exact stats as regards who'd caught what. We're here behind Martin. He's got a fish, not a big fish, but he'll be wanting every single fish he can possibly get after his section win yesterday.
£17, 7 ounce.
That's £17 for Rob Combs. Peg 7. Okay, so the next one we've got coming along here is now peg 8. This is Andy Crocker, who's had a really slow day. Very, very slow to get going today, but it looks like he's ended up with a few.
£24, 9 ounce.
£24. It's the best weight here so far. But Martin's a brilliant angler and he knows this venue very, very well. He used to work here. He fishes it a lot, he knows it very, very well. And I'm pretty sure he will have put some time in on the venue this week as well.
£20, 7 ounce.
£20 first weigh.
£36.4.
36.4 for the second weigh.
Martin, I reckon.
How many points yesterday?
56-11.
56-11. Well done, Mark.
Cheers, mate.
How many points yesterday, Mark? 4.
Good, mate. 6.
6 yesterday. 7's going to be best, isn't it? Well done, though, mate.
Cheers,
brilliant. Mate. So, here we go. The final 2. First to weigh is going to be peg 31, which is Nick Speed. Nick himself doesn't think he's beat the M peg, which is going to be the last one to weigh in, but we're going to find out, aren't we? Nick's got 3 nets in. I don't know if the M peg's got 1 net in, but if it is a low weight affair, then obviously the number of nets doesn't matter.
First weigh, £12, 2 ounces. Thank you, mate.
Whatever happens over there, Nick obviously is up and he's got
£36, 4 ounce.
He's got a section win regardless.
You just up there?
I'm just going to have a quick catch shot with that. So, we're going to get the total weight now. 8 ounce for that one fish.
48-14.
48-14 for Nick. Well done, Nick. The net limit here is £100, I think it is, so there could be any sort of weight in there. It's got a few fish there. I don't think there's as much there, but we'll find out. Sometimes deceiving with these bigger fish.
£45.14.
Not enough. Well done, Nick. So Nick Speed's won the section. That puts him on 2 points. 2 points. Wasn't much in it. £3 in it. You had most of your fish down this margin.
Well, I've only had 2 down the edge, and you can tell with how cold it was. I caught 4 metres and 8 metres in that deeper water.
Right.
High air pressure. So I thought they'd come down the edge sooner or later, but no. And I've caught about 5 foot off the bank in about 4 foot of water. I've had 2 in the last 20 minutes. I was convinced that
he beat you.
He beat me. Well done, mate.
Well done, Bob.
And then with 10 minutes to go, I'd had 2. And I was convinced I wouldn't get another one. I was just getting a line when the swans come down into my peg and started eating the ground bait, and they spooked the carp.
Right.
I was absolutely gutted because I thought I don't have a chance. But anyway, over the moon.
Fantastic. Can't do better than that, mate. Good luck, mate. Good luck. Hope it's enough.
So in 3rd place, picking up £4,000, John Wake. Well done, John. Fantastic, mate. Well done. In 2nd place, runner-up, and I might say, fished a very, very tidy match, what I see of him. On 3 points, picking up £6,000, Tom Scully. And the 2022 Golden Rod champion with a perfect score of 2 points. Big round of applause for your winner, picking up 10 grand.
Well, Nick Speed had got the section win that he so desperately wanted, giving him a perfect 2-point score. The only angler to win his section both days, giving him the £10,000 cheque and the coveted title of the Golden Rod Feeder Champion 2022. It's been another fantastic final, and with tickets going on sale in the next few weeks for this year's title, I'm sure there will be hundreds of anglers once again battling it out for this title.